Betsy, is she here?
No, she couldn't make it.
She couldn't make it. Thanks to Betsy for being a sport. I'm here to talk about running.
Right.
I don't think I know too much about it, but here we go. You're all products of the running boom. We're all runners, and what's changed? I'm a product of the 60s, when it was about running and you go to a race and there'd be maybe 200 people, a 10k, or no, it wasn't 10k's back then, it was 6 mile. And you know, it'd be over in 45 minutes. If you went out for a run, it was whistles and catcalls and comments. And most of my runs back then, I was a firefighter, where if it was of an evening, I would be dark so that nobody could see me. And you know, you didn't want anybody to know that you were an idiot. So going out running was something you'd done in secret. I go home now, and it's changed. All the people that used to laugh at me and point fingers and make comments when I was in the bar with them are now runners. They're all at the park every Saturday morning, and they're telling me about running Berlin, they're telling me about going to Stockholm, going to London. They're all marathon runners, and it's incredible. You know, I was just 40 years too soon. But what's changed? Intensity. It's more a health thing now. It's more a let's get happy. I mean, my daughter's the greatest example. She's got great genes, but it skipped a generation. She likes to go out and run, but you know, she goes out and enjoys her running, and that's where I am right now. If you'd have seen me in 1970, 1980, 1990, I was about a lot lighter. But I ran for one reason, and I think Keith will agree with me. We ran to win. That was all it was about. I loved to run. I could run. It was a God-given gift. In order to be good, I had to kill myself though to do it. You know, I could go out and be an average runner, but what made the difference was the determination to do it and to push myself beyond the limits. I always tell people, you know, you could tell when I was injured back then. Any ideas how you could tell why I was injured?
Running hurt.
No, I was injured. But you could tell I was injured because I had a girlfriend. If I was running, I didn't have a girlfriend. You know, there wasn't time. You know, I was working 56 hours a week as a firefighter, and I was running 70, 80 miles a week. You know, there's only so many hours in a day. And, you know, I played soccer. I'm from Liverpool, England, so I was a great soccer player, even though I say so myself. And I played on 4 different teams. And then I ran for the fire department. And I'd win a race, but generally I'd finish 4th, 5th in fire brigade races. And it was a great day out, great camaraderie with all the firemen from all over England. Go out, have a few pints, great day. And then they decided to take a team to Paris. And I'd never been out of the country. And they're going to take a team to Paris. It meant I was getting a week off work with pay. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go to Paris and I'm going to train. And this was the beginning of real training. I got up every day, I ran 5 miles as hard as I could. That was my training. As hard as I could, 5 miles every day for 6 weeks. I go to the trial race was one guy from Gateshead who had finished third in the English cross-country championships. And English cross-country championships at that time was spectacular. It was 9 miles cross-country, and in order to win, in order to make the English team, you have to finish in the top 9. So if you're in that top 9, you're in the top echelon of English runners. So we had this guy that had finished third, and he was a fireman at Gateshead. I'm sitting behind him, and it was 5 miles cross-country. We're going across a ploughed field, about 1.5 miles to go, and I trip. So what does he do? What would you do, Keith?
Step on your back.
And what else?
He kick you while you're down.
Kick me while I'm down and kick him and run as hard as you can to get as far away from me as you could. He didn't actually stand on my back, but he took off like a cat. Boom, he was gone, smiling. He looked down and laughed. I said, "Oh, you dog." I jumped up and I took my time. I chased him down, and within 1/2 mile I caught him. Now there's 1 mile to go. He didn't see me. I kicked back, and off we go. I'm on the team to Paris. I go to Paris. At this time, I didn't even have a train. I didn't have a sweatsuit. My training suit was my fire uniform. You know, I put my fire pants on overnight and an old sweater. And that was what I would run in the cold. I wasn't going to go out and spend money on running stuff. And get to Paris. There's 3,000 firemen from all over Europe at these championships. And they've all got these beautiful uniforms, and they're all doing all these sprints and all these exercises. Like mine was, I stood on the line and waited for the gun to go. The hell with warming up. You know, I was raw. So the race goes off. I'm about 10th, 15th. Follow it round. Slowly I'm picking my way through. And I'm 4th with about 400 meters to go. And it's in the field. Pick off 1, pick off 2, pick off 3 with about 50 yards to go. I pass the last guy and I win the race. And this was the beginning of Geoff Smith. I crossed the line and a bunch of French guys pat me on the head, shaking my hand going, "Les Anglais, les Anglais." I said, "Oh, this is great. I love this." I went home, I quit 2 soccer teams and started running. And that was, I'm going to say 1975. The coach from the team said, "You need to get a coach in your town. You need to join a running club." I didn't even have a running club, I was just going out. So I joined a running club. And we all have our own opinions of ourselves. I saw myself as a 5,000, 10,000 meter runner. And I go to the club, and we had an unbelievable club, the Liverpool Harriers. Keith will attest to the names I'm going to say. A guy called Dave Murphy, he won the Falmouth Road race. He finished 2nd in New York. Was on the team. A guy called John Woods ran the marathon for Ireland in Seoul at the Olympics. And we weren't even the best guys on the team. We were the kids. There was about 6 guys that could beat us. And they were the people that we learned from. We'd go to the track on Thursday, or I'd go out on Tuesday nights with them. And I didn't even have running shorts. I ran in my I had indoor soccer shoes and soccer shorts and a t-shirt. And I'm going to the south side of the city. You know, I'm from the north. So I drive over to the south side. And we go out for 70 minutes, 75 minutes. And it would be like a fartlek session like you would never be believed. And I swear to God, they were trying to lose me. I hung on for grim death. And I succeeded. We go to the track, and same thing. Every single one, I swear they were all trying to box me out or knock me down. But we became really good friends. I joined the club. And the coaches saw me then as an 800 meter, 1500 meter runner. And there's me, I'm thinking 5,000, 10,000. I'd ran, they'd jump me into a competition, club competition in Edinburgh, and I was running the 10,000 meters. And I'd never ran 10,000 meters before on the track. My very first 10,000 meters on the track. And I ran 29:20 and won the race. So now I'm thinking big time. I'm going to be the 5,000, 10,000 meter guy. And the coach is like, no, you're going to be a 1,500, 800 meter guy. And I said, okay. I went down to the track, and he put me through a session of 150s and 200s and 300s. At the end of the session, I said, I don't like this. It hurts too much. I'm not doing it. I'm going to be a 10,000 meter runner, and I'm going to be a 5,000 meter runner. But I ran 29:20, and that was around about 1976. So the coach said, we're going to have a 4-year plan. We're going to run 30 seconds a year through 1980. That's what we're going to aim for. Nothing else. We're going to make the Olympic team in 1980 with a 27:30 pace. I almost made it. I ran 20 seconds faster the following year. Then I ran another 30 seconds faster. So I was down to 28 flat. Then 1979, I got the dreaded shin splints. I was the fastest guy in the world, and I got shin splints, and they done a compartment syndrome operation on me, and it was before modern technology. It wasn't a little pinhole operation. It was a 12-inch slit on my calf, a cast from my foot to my ankle, stitches. I wouldn't give this doctor any credit for his neatness. Definitely wasn't doing a good job on the stitching. But I had a cast on my leg from the end of August till the end of September. It was like almost 6 weeks. And I was almost in tears thinking, the Olympics is coming up, the Olympic trials is coming up. And in England, you go to the Olympic trials, it doesn't mean anything because they've already pre-selected 2 or 3 people. So you don't even know if you're going to make the team. They pre-selected 2 for the 5,000 and pre-selected 2 for the 10,000. But it didn't really make any difference because in September, my leg was about this thick. There was nothing there on my right leg. Socks filled with sand and margaritas in my hand. And it was a lot of leg raises and build the leg back up. And I ended up changing coaches. I moved over to a coach that was a masseuse on the Tour de France. He coached cyclists, he coached boxers, he coached sprinters, and now he was coaching me. I asked the guy to coach me, and his response was, go home, get a haircut and brush your teeth, and ask me tomorrow. Went home, I got a haircut. I went back the next day. I said, "Are you real? I'm ready. I got a haircut, my teeth are nice and shiny, let's go." And the whole training program changed. Remember I said my original coach wanted me to do the 800, 1500 meters? That came back to bite me, because I was good up until the last lap, and I was there at the last lap. But if you can't run fast, it don't mean anything. His words to me were, do you know what the world record is for 10,000 meters? Yeah, 27:30. Oh, good. You know who won the world championships earlier this year? Yeah, a guy called Morris Shifter. Yeah. You know what he ran? Yeah, 27:30. You know what his last lap was? Yeah, 52 seconds. What can you run? 400 in 58. So no point in running the race, man. You can't win the race. Your best time is 58, flat out. His is 52 at the end of 10,000 meters. You got to learn to run fast. So we went on a crash course, major training change. Keith saw me in 1981. That's when I met Keith, and
I was 12.
yeah, you wish. But we went from being a normal runner to being a cyclist. A normal week, because I missed the entire winter. I combined winter, spring, and summer all into one. I was running 130 miles a week. I was working about 45, 50 hours a week. But I really wasn't, because I was getting up to go for lunch, and it was a long lunch to run. But in the morning, Mondays I would do 5 miles and 10 miles. Tuesdays I would do 5 miles, and then I'd meet at the track at 1 o'clock. I'd warm up for 2 miles. I'd do a mile flat out. 4:6, 4:4. I'd jog for 5 minutes. I'd run 200s. The 200s, I would do 3 200s or 4 200s. Flat out. Usually around about 25, 26, but my fastest was 23.8. Full recovery. Everything was full recovery. The idea was to learn to run fast, to get the legs turning over. We went from the 200s to 400s. I was running 53 to 55 with a full recovery. Full recovery was 2 laps of the track. After the 400s, I'd go jog for 2 miles, recover. Come back, we'd do 3 miles at 68 pace. There was a young boy that used to come down to the track and watch, who ended up going to Providence College. He ran about 1:47 for 800. He would jump in each mile. He would do a quarter with me, and he'd do 60 seconds. I would have to gear up from my 68 and run 60 seconds with him. I'd run the 60 seconds, then I'd go back to my 68. 3 laps later, 4 laps later, again, so we'd do 3 60-second quarters inside of that. Finish the 12 laps, jog to the 200. You got to hit a 200 as hard as you can. 25, 26 seconds. It was all about the need for speed. And I've got that today. I still like to go fast, even though I can't. And once we finished, I go run another 2 miles. The session took 1 hour, 45 minutes. Total miles was about 15, 16 miles of the hardest running you can believe. I'd go back to his house. He was a masseuse. I'd spend an hour on his table getting revitalized. And then I had to drink sweet tea. Oh God, I hate sweet tea. God, I can't stand sweet tea. But I had to drink sweet tea. But his wife made the best oatmeal cookies. So it was a trade-off. And as I'm leaving, he say, okay, 8 o'clock, you're going out 8 to 10 miles, 6-minute pace. And that was Tuesday. Wednesday, it was 5:10 again. Thursday, it was repeat Tuesday. I'd done this for 2 months. The trials come around. Anybody who remember Nick Rose? Nick Rose was a fantastic runner. I don't know if he won the NCs. Did he win the? I think he did.
I'm not sure. I think Crane might be him.
Yeah, but he was a spectacular runner. Still is. And Nick was the favourite. There was only one spot in the Olympic trials for the Olympic team. And it was a typical night at Crystal Palace. It was pouring with rain. It was about 50 degrees, blowing a gale. Am I right? It was always windy at Crystal Palace. Unbelievable. So the race goes off. And there was 20 other guys in the race that could win it. With about 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go, I take the lead. And nobody goes with me. I ran the Olympic qualifying time, which was good. And I won the race. I didn't get selected. I said, you gotta be kidding me. Oh no, everybody thought that, and the selectors thought that Nick Rose was going. They wanted Nick Rose to go. And they put it on hold. The only reason I went to the Olympics was because I was a firefighter, and all the headlines was flying fireman wins the Olympic trials, and he's not going to the Olympics. So it was a major problem for them. So the following week was the 5,000 meter trials. I went to the 5,000 meter trials and finished second in a sprint finish. Not to Nick Rose though, to somebody else, to a guy called Barry Smith, I believe. So it was 2 Smiths at the finish. And Barry Smith got selected for the 5,000 meters, and lo and behold, I get a letter, you've been selected for the 10,000 meters. So it took them 2 weeks to select me. The reason? I didn't come through the system, guys. I wasn't a child runner. I was an adult runner, 21. Even though I ran to school every day and I ran home and I played soccer every single day. How did I become a marathon runner? Old age. Once you get to about 30, it gets harder and harder to run fast. It gets harder and harder to train. So the natural progression is, I'll step up to the marathon. And my first marathon was going to be the Duel in the Sun. Everybody know what the Duel in the Sun was? You want to tell them what the Duel in the Sun was?
It was between Beardsley and Salazar. It was one of the hottest days at Boston, and it came down to, I think, it was a 2-second victory, Salazar.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, the week before, about 2 weeks before, was Easter, and I ended up with strep throat and was taken into the hospital. I had to go to the hospital with it, and my number ended up, I wasn't fit to run, so I didn't run the 82. And then I came back 83. I decided I was going to run New York, and first marathon. My first half marathon was about 6 weeks before that. I'd ran 61:30 in Dayton. Before that, I'd ran a couple of 10 milers, but nothing more. The furthest I ran was 2 hours and 14 minutes. Figure it, I don't need to run any more than that. I don't want to be out there any more than that. So I would run a dumper run, and I'd run, it was a 10-mile loop of the hilliest running you could think of, and I was running 50 minutes per loop in full training gear, sweatsuits and the works. Go to New York, and I'm still doing those, those crazy sessions. That was my staple. I'd done them every single week. Always had to do my speed work. Morning before New York, I jogged 2 miles to the track. I ran 6 200s at about 25 seconds with a full recovery. Jogged the 2 miles home. I'm ready. I'm ready to kill. And gun goes off in New York. A guy called Shahenga takes the lead, and he leads right up until 13 miles. And I'm doing my best to hold back. We come off the hill at 13 miles and you go on to, is it First Avenue or 5th? First or 5th Street? First Avenue. And suddenly it's electrifying. The noise, the crowd. Boom, something clicked in here. I ran 4:28 for the mile. And then I followed that with a 4:30, and a 4:35, then a 4:45. I ran an incredible 5 mile and blew the race apart. And it was before gels, it was before all the drinks. I'd go out and run 20 miles, I didn't drink, I just went out and ran. And I liked to throw the water over my head, that was about it. And when you're throwing Gatorade over your head, that doesn't work. So I was very, I wasn't drinking a lot. And Keith asked me when we were out before, he said, "Geoff, why were you putting your finger in the water?" I get the drink and I'd be putting my finger in. I was checking to make sure it wasn't sticky. So I didn't want to drink it, and we entered the park and I'm starting to get cramp. And I'd ran in Central Park a dozen times. And the rule when you're running a 10k, a 5k or the 10 miler in Central Park was you stayed within the blue line. You didn't go outside of the blue line. You could cut the tangents inside the blue line, but you weren't to go out because the roads and the bikes apparently were on the outside. Well, that all changed for the marathon, but nobody told me. So we get into the park, and I'm on that blue line, and I'm hurting, and there's 3 miles to go, and I've got the race won. But Rod Dixon is cutting every single tangent. Every time he cuts a tangent, he takes 3 or 4 seconds off me. And there's a lot of tangents in Central Park. Nobody's shouting at me. I didn't, well, if they were, I didn't hear it. At 26 miles, I look over my right shoulder, and most probably where the door is where Rod Dixon was. And he was going past me at a big clip. And by the time I got around to reacting, he was already about 10 yards in front of me. So I went from visions of winning New York City Marathon at 26 miles to finishing second. And the most famous picture in the world, if you go into New York City Marathon, race headquarters there, or the Roadrunners Club headquarters, is me laying on the ground with Rod Dixon. I was in there a few weeks ago, 12 months ago for an interview, and I'm sitting in the foyer and I'm talking to the young boy behind the desk. That's a nice picture up there. He goes, it is. And he's telling me who it is. I said, who's the guy on the ground? And he goes, I don't know. I said, he's a great runner. And he goes, yes? I said, yeah, you're talking to him. That's me. So it was nice to see my picture up. But they should have put my name on, something. But that was Boston. That was New York. And it was a British record. So I was the British record holder for the marathon. And 1984 was Olympic year. So I was praying that I'm the champion. They'll pre-select me. We didn't have a trial, but I wasn't pre-selected. I was going to Providence College as a student, because in 1980, I missed that part of the story, I'm sorry. In 1980, I went to the Olympics, and I got a letter in 1979 while my leg was still in a cast at the club night from Clemson College. So over a few drinks and slightly buried, I filled in the application and sent it off to Clemson. Jesus, within 2 weeks I got this box of stuff back from them. They wanted me to go out. So I talked to my coach. He said, you have the rest of your life to work. You can only run while you're young. Go for it. My father's brother was a school principal. He'd come back from World War II as a stonemason and went back to school and become a school principal. He said, you're never too old, go back to school. I left school when I was 16. I didn't like school, but I decided I'm going back to school. So that's how I ended up here. I didn't go to Clemson because they wanted me to go out at Christmas, and my vision was I'm going to the Olympics. I'm not going anywhere unless I'm being to the Olympics. So I turned Clemson down, and then Providence College got a hold of me. And I signed on the dotted line in June of 1980 before the Olympics to go to Providence College. So that's how I ended up in America. Anyway, 1984, I had to run a marathon. I was graduating from Providence College, and the marathon is right at the end of the year. I'm not going to miss my finals to go and run your race. I said, I'll run Boston. All the rest of the British guys were running London. It was a gamble. I had to run Boston and win.